I didn't have, Tony was the only guy that was so damn good. He was so talented that he could get away with saying
Scared the shit out of me, I'll tell you that much.
NASCAR Hall of Famer Mark Martin broke his silence, and what he said shocked the entire racing world. Speaking about Tony Stewart, Martin admitted that Stewart had the courage to say out loud what every driver was secretly thinking. This wasn't just respect. It was Martin revealing that Stewart's honesty and unmatched talent allowed him to do something no other driver could in NASCAR's history. Martin and Tony Stewart may have taken different paths, but their bond is built on truth. Martin, the polished veteran from Arkansas, often played it safe with his words, even when frustrations burned inside him. Stewart, on the other hand, spoke freely without worrying about backlash. On Shannon Spake's Spake Up podcast, Martin revealed he admired Stewart's guts to say what others only whispered. For Martin, Stewart embodied the voice drivers wish they had. When Shannon Spake asked about the NASCAR Drivers Council, Martin's response cut deep and revealed much more than fans expected. He admitted, "I know for a fact, as far as that council goes, I'm standing by myself. I don't have anyone standing shoulder to shoulder with me." His words painted a picture of isolation that many drivers quietly feel but rarely admit. The council is supposed to give drivers a united voice, but Martin exposed how fractured it truly is. For many, it's more about maintaining appearances than driving change. Martin's admission showed how courage to speak out often comes at the price of standing alone, a reality that makes honesty rare inside NASCAR. Martin explained why silence dominates the garage. Everybody on that council makes their living in the sport, so that changes how you look at things. Drivers risk losing sponsors, contracts, and respect if they speak too freely. He highlighted Kevin Harvick as someone who pushes boundaries but stays cautious because of family and business ties. The message was clear. Survival in NASCAR sometimes means biting your tongue, even when the truth is obvious. Tony Stewart wasn't bound by the same limits as his peers, and that gave him a rare freedom that almost no other driver enjoyed. Martin confessed, "Tony was the only guy that came along, and I was like, everything he said I had thought, but I wouldn't say it out loud. Tony was the only guy that was so damn good. He was so talented that he could get away with saying whatever was on his mind. I loved him." Stewart's unmatched skill gave him leverage. He didn't need to fear losing his ride or sponsor, because his results spoke louder than any controversy. That freedom allowed him to be brutally honest about NASCAR decisions, rules, and leadership when others stayed silent. It set him apart as not just a champion on the track, but also as a voice of truth in the garage. Stewart's greatness wasn't just about trophies, it was about courage. Martin admitted that he, like many others, had to swallow his opinions to protect his career. "There were a lot of things I couldn't say and didn't say," he explained. But Stewart filled that gap. He said what others were too afraid to voice, forcing NASCAR to confront tough questions. Stewart didn't play politics. He challenged the sport when he felt it was needed, even when officials bristled at his words. His voice carried so much weight because he had the skill and the record to back it up. That combination made his honesty impossible to dismiss. He proved that speaking truth wasn't just rebellion, it was leadership, and Martin loved him for it. Mark Martin pointed to today's outspoken figures who continue Stewart's legacy of honesty. "I commend Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick because they are certainly the most outspoken," he said. Hamlin, as both a driver and team co-owner, carries unique pressure but still refuses to stay quiet. Harvick, now retired and working as a broadcaster, continues to challenge NASCAR decisions on air, using his experience to provide perspective others can't. Both men walk a dangerous line. Say too little, and nothing changes. Say too much, and you risk fines, lawsuits, or career backlash. Yet their willingness to keep speaking proves how vital outspoken voices remain in the sport. For Martin, Hamlin, and Harvick show fans that NASCAR still has drivers unafraid to challenge authority. NASCAR has a long history of reacting poorly to criticism, and Martin didn't hide that truth. He pointed to Hamlin's current legal battle with the sport as a glaring example of what happens when a driver pushes too far. NASCAR leadership has handed out fines, public scoldings, and even warnings to drivers who dared to speak their minds. This culture of control makes honesty a dangerous game. Stewart stood out because he was willing to face those risks head on. Unlike most, he didn't back down when NASCAR bristled. His boldness showed that criticism, while risky, was necessary to move the sport forward. Without it, NASCAR becomes fragile, unable to face its flaws. Martin's point was clear. The relationship between NASCAR and its drivers will always be tense unless the sport learns to accept honesty. Mark Martin's respect for Tony Stewart went far deeper than wins and championships. What he admired most was Stewart's fire, his bravery, and his refusal to hide behind polite answers. Stewart didn't speak up for attention. He spoke up because he believed NASCAR needed to hear uncomfortable truths. For Martin, who often felt silenced during his career, Stewart was a relief, a driver who said exactly what others thought but couldn't express. That honesty gave strength to the garage. Even if most drivers didn't publicly agree, they quietly appreciated Stewart's bluntness. He became their voice, the one who told the truth when others stayed silent. Martin admitted that NASCAR was a better sport because Stewart never held back, proving that honesty can be just as impactful as winning races. Martin's words raised a larger question. What happens to NASCAR without drivers like Stewart? The sport thrives on authenticity, yet too often it feels scripted when drivers are forced to hold back. Stewart proved that speaking your mind connects drivers with fans in ways stats never could. Today, Hamlin and Harvick keep that tradition alive, but Martin worries that future generations may play it too safe. Without honesty, NASCAR risks losing its edge and alienating fans who crave raw truth as much as racing action. The legacy Stewart left behind isn't just about racing. It's about showing that drivers have power when they speak. Martin's warning was clear. Without voices like Stewart's, NASCAR risks becoming hollow, a sport where speed matters, but truth disappears. For Mark Martin, Tony Stewart's example is more than just a memory. It's a guide for what NASCAR needs moving forward. Stewart proved that one bold voice can shake the entire sport. Martin believes NASCAR must embrace drivers who speak openly, even if those words sting. Without courageous voices, NASCAR risks becoming stale, more about protecting image than facing truth. Martin challenged today's drivers to carry that torch, to be brave enough to speak even when it costs them. His message was simple but powerful. Honesty isn't weakness, it's the strength that keeps NASCAR real. If the next generation dares to follow Stewart's lead, the sport will stay alive, vibrant, and authentic. If they don't, NASCAR risks losing the very spirit that makes it worth watching. Mark Martin pulled back the curtain on NASCAR's culture of silence. By crediting Tony Stewart for saying what no one else dared, Martin revealed how important honesty is to the sport's future. Stewart's voice was more than bold, it was necessary. And now, Martin challenges today's drivers to follow that path. Because if truth dies in NASCAR, the spirit of racing dies with it.
What do you think?
Oh, man, he's the real deal. At first, I wasn't sure, but the guy's earning respect. He's bringing the fun back.
62 to go when they come to the line.
Oh, look at, oh, no!
Oh, he spun the tires and then spinning into the walls, the 55 of Robusto.
NASCAR drivers dropped a bombshell about one of the most unexpected names in the garage, Cletus McFarland. Known for burnout contests and crazy car stunts on YouTube, Cletus is now racing with the pros. But what shocked everyone? Real drivers are split. Some love it, some hate it. And the debate? It's only getting louder. Cletus McFarland, a name that once meant YouTube laughs and wild car videos, is now printed on a real race car. At first, nobody took him seriously. He was the guy from Freedom Factory, not a future NASCAR driver. But when he pulled up at Daytona for his ARCA debut with Reddy Jones Racing, things changed. This wasn't a quick stunt. It was the start of something real. Sure, he crashed, but instead of quitting, he got serious. Cletus started watching race tape, studying laps, and asking for help from veteran drivers. He studied race footage obsessively, analyzed my mistakes, and started seeking advice from people who'd done this for decades. He wasn't just playing around, he wanted to learn. Not everyone was impressed. NASCAR veteran Kenny Wallace didn't hold back. He slammed Cletus for using an unauthorized in-car camera setup and wearing safety gear that didn't follow NASCAR rules. Wallace said clearly, "You don't just show up and freestyle your way through, there are lives on the line." This wasn't about gatekeeping, it was about safety and respect. His strong words echoed across the NASCAR world. But instead of causing a fight, this moment helped Cletus see just how serious the sport really is. Instead of lashing out or brushing it off, Cletus did something surprising. He apologized.
Down there, you're good. Nobody's gaining on you at all. It's just down here, 3 and 4 is tough. So just wait just a little bit longer before you really commit back to the throttle and make sure that left front's low.
He admitted his mistakes and showed he was serious about learning. That humility opened doors. People started thinking, maybe he's not just some internet guy. Maybe he really wants to earn it. Cletus acknowledged in his interviews that NASCAR is a completely different challenge than anything he had faced before. For many in the racing world, that kind of self-reflection changed everything. Then came a major moment. Greg Biffle, a legend with 19 Cup wins, offered to help. After Cletus raced at Charlotte, Biffle mentored him, breaking down his driving, pointing out areas for improvement and teaching him pit road communication. Biffle didn't just offer technical advice, he offered belief. It was a big deal when someone that accomplished said, "I'll help you figure this out." That wasn't just support, it was a signal to the rest of NASCAR that Cletus was worth investing in. Another giant of NASCAR, Kevin Harvick, brought Cletus on his podcast. The conversation was straight to the point, no sugarcoating. The veteran made it clear that mastering NASCAR is no quick task, emphasizing that it's a craft learned over time. Yet, Harvick also acknowledged the dedication he saw in Cletus, noting that the effort and determination he was putting in truly mattered. Hearing such a balanced mix of challenge and encouragement from one of NASCAR's most respected voices gave Cletus credibility and showed the garage that he was serious about earning his place. Every race taught Cletus something new. After one race, he admitted,
I think I ran every single possible line through 3 and 4.
I saw that.
And I think I just killed the front right on the car.
Yeah, it's
trying to keep up with those dudes. And then those last 15, when they were passing me, there was literally nothing I could do.
And when he got past, he said, I was fighting for my life in there. I could not catch up.
It's like getting your freaking wing clipped
Yeah.
when they come out on your outside. Holy,
Yes.
the first time that happened, I'm lucky I didn't take that dude outside of me out and
Very
myself.
lucky.
These weren't just funny quotes. They showed real growth. Cletus was learning the hard way and sharing it openly. Cletus's rise split the NASCAR world in half. Supporters saw him as a bridge for younger fans who follow YouTube. Critics raised safety concerns. Was NASCAR risking too much by letting influencers race? Could social media fame outweigh real skill? These were fair questions, but Cletus didn't hide. After causing an accident, he said on Fox Sports, I want to start out by apologizing to the team that I took out. I think it was several cars. I just feel terrible. Every time I go racing, I don't want to get taken out. I felt it. It sucks. His emotional honesty helped people see that he wasn't just doing this for views. Off camera, Cletus was grinding. He expanded his team. He added a veteran crew chief. He even attended closed-door meetings just to learn. He started showing up at races he wasn't driving in, just to observe pit calls and race flow. He said, I've been sent home, and I made a complete rookie maneuver on the restart. I zigged, and then I zagged, and then she was blowing my door off, and on the zag, I hit her and put her in the wall. I feel terrible about it. I know those guys work hard to be out here. It sucks to send them home. But what stood out was that he kept going. He kept learning. At Kansas Speedway, Cletus put it all together. He didn't crash. He didn't overdrive. He finished clean. He said, I forgot there was no dang restrictor plate on this thing. I'm like, wham! Gave her the beans. It steps out, and then I clipped Robusto. Just feels bad, but we'll move forward. That race might not have made headlines, but it marked real growth. He showed patience, maturity, and control. That's what wins over NASCAR veterans, not flash, but steady improvement. Now, people are asking, can Cletus be both a digital star and a real racer? Some think it's a dangerous mix. Entertainment and motorsport don't always blend well. Others say it's exactly what NASCAR needs to grow. Cletus is pulling in new fans, many of them young and digitally native, who are discovering NASCAR for the first time. At the same time, he's working hard behind the scenes, trying to earn respect lap by lap. His story isn't just about racing, it's about transformation. He's learning a new world while still being himself. That balancing act might just be his biggest challenge yet, but it could also be what helps NASCAR connect with a new generation of fans who care about personality as much as performance. Cletus McFarland might have started out burning tires for YouTube views, but now he's burning rubber with some of NASCAR's best. What started as a wild idea is turning into one of the most talked about journeys in modern racing. He's faced criticism, made mistakes, and owned up to them every time. More importantly, he's kept showing up, and that counts. As legends like Harvick, Biffle, and Wallace continue to weigh in on his progress, one thing's for sure, this story is still being written. Whether you see him as a trailblazer or a troublemaker, Cletus McFarland is forcing NASCAR to look in the mirror and ask, who belongs on this track? And why? And that question might be the most important lap he's ever taken.
He just loses it, all on his own.
Oh, Kyle Larson with problems.
I got no brakes.
No brakes is the call.
Yeah, I heard no brakes, and you heard Cliff Daniels get right on the radio to bring it to us. So it sounds like the 5 will be coming to pit road. He was running 24th.
But 24th from quite a distant qualifying effort of 26th, which is highly unusual.
You know that feeling when everything that can go wrong does go wrong? Well, Kyle Larson just lived through every NASCAR driver's absolute worst nightmare at Watkins Glen. What happened to the 2021 Cup Series champion wasn't just bad luck. It was a complete disaster that might have just ended his shot at this year's regular season championship. Imagine being Kyle Larson behind the wheel of your #1 car. 5 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet on a formidable NASCAR road course. Despite a 26th place qualifying run, you've conquered Watkins Glen twice previously. Confident in your ability to advance. As the green flag waves, you're poised to make your ascent through the ranks. But then, just 6 laps into the race, barely enough time to get your tires warmed up, everything goes horribly wrong. Larson was running mid-pack when he approached turn 1, that scary 90-degree corner that's caught out plenty of drivers over the years. Suddenly his car started spinning, and the words that came over his radio told the whole story. I got no brakes. Think about that for a second. You're flying down a racetrack at over 100 miles per hour, and your brakes just stop working. That's not just scary, that's terrifying. Larson somehow managed to keep his car under control and avoid a major crash, but his day was basically over before it even started. His crew chief, Cliff Daniels, immediately called him down pit road. When Larson limped his car into the pits, the team quickly figured out what went wrong. It wasn't just a simple brake problem, it was a complete brake line failure. Daniels got on the radio and told his team they needed to change the entire brake line. Now, changing a brake line during a race isn't like changing tires. This is major surgery on a race car. Larson had to go behind the wall, which in NASCAR terms means your day is pretty much done. While other drivers were racing for stage points and track position, Larson was sitting in the garage watching his championship hopes slip away. Daniels was clearly frustrated when he talked to NASCAR.com after the race. He said, "Incredibly unfortunate because I really wish that it would have shown up yesterday or at any point sooner than 5 laps into the start of the race." When the team looked at the car, they found brake fluid pouring out of the lines. That's not something you can patch up quickly. The team worked frantically to replace the brake line, bleed the brakes, and get Larson back on track. But in NASCAR, every lap you're behind the wall cost you big time. By the time Larson returned to the race at lap 22, he was already 16 laps down. In a sport where races are often decided by seconds, being 16 laps behind is like being in a different time zone. But here's where the story gets even worse for Larson. This wasn't just about one bad race. Going into Watkins Glen, Larson was sitting pretty in the championship hunt. He was only 45 points behind his teammate, William Byron, for the regular season championship. With just 2 races left in the regular season, that gap was totally manageable. Larson knew how important this race was. During his media session on Saturday, he talked about needing a strong run at Watkins Glen to chase down Byron and Chase Elliott, who was sitting second in points. He had a real shot at winning his second regular season title. But after finishing 39th at Watkins Glen, Larson's championship dreams took a massive hit. He didn't just stay 45 points behind Byron, he fell to 85 points back. That's a 40-point swing in the wrong direction, and with only 2 races left, it's basically game over for the regular season championship. What makes this even more painful is that this isn't the first time Larson has had bad luck this season. Ever since he failed to complete the double back in May, that's when he tried to run both the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 on the same day. His season has been up and down. In the last 5 races before Watkins Glen, Larson had finished 28th or worse 3 times. For a driver of his caliber, that's just not normal. The really frustrating part for Larson and his team is that they know they have speed. Daniels mentioned that they've shown up with fast cars in recent weeks, but they just can't put together complete races. It's like having a Ferrari that breaks down every time you try to drive it. All that potential, but nothing to show for it. Even after going behind the wall, Larson's team tried to make the best of a terrible situation. When he came back out, he was so far behind that he could push his car to the limit without worrying about track position. He ended up setting the fastest lap of the race with a time of 73.203 seconds, earning himself an extra point for the Xfinity Fastest Lap Award. This was actually Larson's third road course Xfinity Fastest Lap of the 2025 season. He'd previously won the award at Circuit of the Americas and the Mexico race, plus one at Bristol. But as Daniels pointed out, the luster of it has gone away a little bit for us because we've had to do that twice now at road courses. Daniels tried to stay positive about the whole situation. He talked about using the opportunity to build their notebook and practice pit strategy. But you could tell he was frustrated. When asked about the team's recent struggles, he was honest. There's not a whole lot to be said about right now, other than we're just not getting the results. But Daniels also showed the kind of fighting spirit that made him one of NASCAR's top crew chiefs. He said,